Welcome to Inside Auto Podcast, where we feature everyone and anyone you'd want to talk to in and out of the automotive industry.
Ilana Shabtai here, host of Inside Auto Podcast, where we interview top dealers, GMs, marketers, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders in and out of the automotive industry. But before we introduce today's guest, this episode is sponsored by FullPath.com. FullPath is the automotive industry leading customer data and experience platform, CDXP. FullPath enables dealers to turn their first-party data into lifelong customers by unifying siloed data sources and leveraging that data to create exceptional, hyper-personalized customer experiences. To learn more, visit FullPath.com. All right, today we're welcoming Joe Brown. Joe, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Looking forward to the conversation. Quick intro for you. Joe is the CMO at Frank Leta Auto Group. He's a third-generation dealer bringing years of automotive legacy to the position and a knack for innovation. We'll talk a lot about that today. Jack and Joe. Joe is also an Auto Genius member, and we have so many Auto Genius members here on the podcast, so I'm excited to have another one talk about what the community's done for you, especially from a marketing perspective. So welcome. I know you've done so much in your career, so I'm looking forward to talking about it today.
Awesome. Yeah, so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Joe Brown.
Joe Brown, not Jack. Oh, so that's not Jack Brown. Okay, thank you.
Not Jack Brown. I don't know of any Jack Browns. Joe Brown, the one and only Joe Brown. I've been in automotive pretty much my whole life. It's a family business. So my grandfather founded it in 1965, started with Honda motorcycles. So before Honda even had an automobile, he was a Honda motorcycle dealer. Once they introduced the automobile, he was the original Midwest Honda dealer. And Honda's been a great brand to us. In '85, we opened up the Acura store. Later we've just grown from there, so now we're up to 5 stores across the group.
Incredible. And so you do all the marketing operations for every single store. So tell us a little bit about what that's been like. I'd love to learn also any new things that you implemented specifically in 2023 that worked really well that you're looking to continue into 2024.
Yep. So I'm the chief marketing officer for the group. So I oversee all the marketing efforts in between for the vendors and dealership, making sure, holding them accountable. Something new we've tried this year that's kind of out of the box that I don't know many other dealers that are doing it is we put a really big focus on getting organic Facebook tags for our dealership. So a lot of dealers have a really good presence on Google. They've got thousands of reviews. Most dealers have like a 4.5 and above star rating. So after a certain point, I feel like the competitive advantage of having a good presence on Google just disappears when everybody's just as good, essentially. So something I wanted to put a focus on was organically on Facebook, having the customer tell their network about what a great experience they had at our dealership. So the customer takes the picture, writes a caption, posts it to their personal profile, and tags the dealership. So now their whole network is seeing that they got a new car, they had a great experience, they're smiling in front of the car, and it points to our dealership. It's not Frank Leta talking about how great we are. It's this customer. It's more authentic, and it's different than what I think most other dealers are doing. So we've been it's been a strong focus of ours for 2023, and it was a tough rollout. Early months, we were lucky to get a couple tags. It's hard to do, and that's why I think most people don't do it, right?
I was going to say, what's that conversation like with the customer, or how are you getting the customer to do that? Because even if they had a great experience, I feel like it's like just to actually open up their Facebook and write it is a whole task in and of itself.
I'll just say you'd be amazed at what a $5 Amazon gift card will buy you. So.
Got it. Basically, instead of incentivizing to put like a Google review up, you can incentivize really to do whatever is your mission at that given time. So that makes a lot of sense. Hey, I would do a lot for a $5 Amazon gift card. Okay.
Yeah. we were having like swag bags, so it was like a tote bag and a tumbler and a charge cable and a blanket. So it was like $30 worth of swag that we were offering customers. Pretty soon we found out that $5 gift card does the same for a customer. So
totally.
Incentivizing the customer, and also, salespeople need to be motivated as well.
Yeah.
But early on, we would get a couple across the whole group, so maybe 2 at one store or 1 at another store. Kept focusing on it month after month. It would grow. I think our all-time high, we had over 100 tags across the group, with one store having, I think, 42 tags in 1 month. So, you get these salespeople ignite
Do you
their
have
competitive
competitions
spirit.
between the stores as well?
Yes. So
Yeah.
I've got biweekly emails that go out to all the stores, and a little ranking sheet. Whoever's in first is at the top of the board, and it just lights a fire under the sales staff, and they get excited. And it's really rewarding when you're looking at the tag and you see that it got 100 plus engagements and comments of other customers saying, "Oh yeah, I bought a Frank Leta and had a really great experience. They're the best."
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that we're doing different that I haven't seen really any other dealers doing, and we plan to continue doing that in 2024 as well.
Awesome. Now that's like more on the organic side, brand side, which I love. Any AI implementations, GPT, anything on the like generative AI front that you feel like Frank Leta is going to invest in 2024, if not have already? Because I feel like, that's going to be a big focus for 2024, especially in automotive.
For sure. Yeah. Everybody's talking about AI, and you see more and more
It's like 2018
vendors.
again.
Exactly. Yeah. More and more vendors are integrating AI into their solution, which I think is really, really great. We've got DriveCentric as our CRM. They've got AI built into it, and it just keeps getting better and better. We use it internally a little bit as well. Sometimes, writing captions for our social media channels, having ChatGPT assist with that. So internally and all the vendor partners, I think you're going to see more and more vendors embracing AI to really enhance their offerings.
Yeah. I think from a marketing perspective, it will probably be the first place, but I think even on an operating level, dealerships will start incorporating AI, even if it's just like, review all calls, listen to all calls and monitor calls and send those to the sales managers every morning with like bullet points or, highlight words or tell the AI you want to know anything that has to do with like, I don't know, any nasty words for complaints will come up, to the top of your list. Whatever
so many
rules
possibilities.
So many possibilities. I mean, I think like by 2024, by the end of 2024, most dealerships will be operating some capacity with that layer of AI.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think initially it was a little intimidating, but now almost everybody you talk to has touched AI in some way, either internally or with a vendor partner.
Yeah, and we've briefly discussed this previously, but your sales team actually really embraces the AI that helps, that is embedded in their CRM. I know I really have spoken to other dealers that there's a lot of hesitation, and the sales team often doesn't want any of their customers to be touched without, them looking over it first. And I really appreciate that your sales team is really embracing the fact that this should empower them and just like, if anything, accelerate their sales, because it's almost like having an assistant working in the background.
They love it. Yeah. I mean, we've been using some type of AI for a long time. We used Conversica early on, so they were used to having some assistants communicating with the customers, and it just gets better and better. When we switched over to DriveCentric, we named it Gloria Leta was the name of our AI. At the time, Gloria was really big in St. Louis. The Blues were doing really well, and Gloria was the song that everybody was listening to. So very topical. But we'd start getting people asking when they come in store to talk to Gloria Leta, thinking, "Oh, I know Mr. Leta. I didn't know he had a grandchild named Gloria." And they, that's not really a real person. That's
but Joe's here.
Internally, right? Yeah, I'll come down and say hi. The staff's embraced it, and I think customers really don't mind it as long as it's providing value, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think that especially the rise of generative AI is providing a lot of value now.
For sure.
So that's nice. And now when it comes to challenges that you foresee either in your specific stores because of your specific market and or, however the economy might be affecting that region, or, bigger picture challenges for automotive industry, what are you predicting for 2024 so that we can sort of stay ahead of the game, figure out solutions before these challenges hit us in the face? Because automotive the past 4 years has just been, whirlwind of all sorts of challenges.
It's been wild ride. Yeah.
Wild.
I think you're going to see more better access to the data. The dealers have realized the value of first party data, and I think they're owning that data, but they don't necessarily know what to do with that data. And I think AI goes hand in hand with that, leveraging AI to better activate that data, make it more actionable, and get really efficient with your overall marketing strategy.
I'm very happy you said this because I don't know if we met at MRC, and I don't know if you were able to catch the Full Path CEO's keynote, but
I
he
did.
basically
Yeah,
opened by being like, data's great, and we've been talking about data all year, and I'm so happy, but it literally does nothing for you if you can't actually do anything with it. So I think
correct.
that
Yeah,
the AI, like dealers figuring out, okay, how do I first of all have a data strategy, because I don't think that's necessarily solved yet, but also do something with it without having to sift through all these lists, or have my sales team even worse sift through all these lists. That's where AI is going to come in and really augment the data strategy and figure out and give dealers a way to really figure out how to use their cleaned, good, owned, like their owned
right.
data.
Own
Which,
data. Yep.
yeah. So I think that's going to be, I agree, I think that's going to be big in 2024. Did you feel like people were talking about that at MRC? I know obviously the keynote we talked a bit about that, but did other sessions touch on that? I didn't get a chance to go to so many sessions, so I'd love to know your take.
Yeah, I think AI and better access to the data were big themes.
Mm-hmm.
Brian talked about how I think we're going to see more open APIs because automotive has historically been pretty notorious for not having much
Yeah,
communication between vendors, very
yeah,
siloed, which is very frustrating for me as the dealer because it is my data. And when vendor A doesn't want to play nicely with vendor B, it gets really frustrating. So having open APIs, I think, will be I'm looking forward to that. Having the data work more harmoniously together and using AI to really fully leverage it. I think that
yeah.
was the
Well,
big takeaway for
I
me.
think you should go out there and petition with all the other dealer CMOs and basically work with vendors that will work with open APIs, because it will come from the dealers. Meaning, I find it extremely frustrating as well. That we can only
Hmm.
really give dealers the most innovative, cutting edge technology if they can actually break down those silos and their softwares can connect, right? Like if you look outside of automotive, Salesforce and
Right.
HubSpot, biggest competitor, obviously have a two-way API, no doubt, because you'll have marketers that work
Right.
out of HubSpot and sales that works out of Salesforce,
Hmm.
and they're not losing their biggest clients over that. So I think
Yeah.
if we can have the dealers lead this discussion, we'll actually get somewhere.
Right. Right. Yeah. It is funny hearing people come from outside of auto with a marketing background. They're just
Yes,
kind of blown away at
blown
how
away.
how yeah, siloed everything is.
Yeah,
So looking
it's
very much forward to that future.
yeah.
Hopefully
I mean, the
2024.
truth is, to 2024. Cheers to 2024. I
Yeah.
am seeing it a little bit more. So that's the
Yeah,
positive
I've seen that
note.
trend, and I think it's going to continue because I think,
Yeah.
like you said, dealers are ultimately going to have to be that voice to
Yes.
ask for it and demand for it, and I think
Yeah.
that's where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, my dream would be that if it even came from the manufacturers, meaning, oh, you cannot be a certified provider, or you can't work with us, or you can't get co-op dollars if you're not using a vendor that doesn't have an open API, and then it just solves everything for
Right.
us, top down. But, you know,
Yeah, and the
no one's
manufacturers are
listening to
getting a
me.
lot of that. They're getting a lot of the data from the dealer, so I think the
Exactly.
OEMs I've noticed are paying more attention to it, and I mean they're wanting more data from the dealer, and I think in turn the dealer needs to get uh, more data. I guess just the data playing nicely for everyone across the board
Yeah.
internally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And then before we sign off here, I do want to touch a little bit on the Auto Genius community. I haven't talked about it in a
Yeah.
while on Inside Auto podcast, but we have had quite a few other members on as guests. Tell us a little bit about, as a CMO, what's the benefits? What's the community like? Just tell us a little bit about your experience. I think it's just like a great way for marketers to connect in automotive, especially the innovative marketers that I've spoken to. So I'd love to hear a little bit about the experience with Auto Genius.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
absolutely.
AG as they call it.
AG as we call it.
AG.
Yep.
Yeah.
Such a great
Are you an
community
OG
of
AG? Are you an
pretty
OG?
close to it. I
Oh,
think I could
okay.
call myself an OG AG. Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
Uh,
If Ben,
and
if you're
going
listening, Kyle, if you're listening, OG AG.
there you go. I love that. Uh, you interact. So for people that don't know, Auto Genius is primarily a Slack community of some of the sharpest minds in automotive with a big emphasis on marketing.
Hmm.
But it's a way for everybody to get together and kind of share best practices, similar to a 20 group, but instead of meeting 3 times a year, it's 24/7 Slack channel. It's very active. I can't keep up with all the everything that goes on a daily basis, but how Slack works, you can separate it into different channels, so you can go into a specific channel for whatever your specific interest is. And historically, you can just search for, if you're looking at a vendor, we've got one called hey, who's using? And then you can say, who's using this vendor? And then you'll get real feedback from real dealers across the country, so you're not getting any kind of a slanted pitch. It's very honest, and it's been super helpful for me. I love the community. And then going to MRC, you get to meet some of these people in person. So people that you've been interacting with digitally for years, sometimes, that you get to meet them in person and put a face to the name. And it's really great hanging out. They're some of the best people that I've met in automotive, and I'm so happy to be part of the group. I love what they're doing, and it's just growing and growing, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's some of the best people I've met in automotive, also AG members. Not sure if they're OG AG, but they probably are. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us today on Inside Auto Podcast. Joe, I'm so happy I got to meet you in person. I hope I get to see you. Again, I said, remind me, did you say you're going to NADA?
I'm going to be at NADA. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Looking forward. So that is where I will see you next. Thanks again for joining us. And if you liked this episode, Inside Auto Podcast, InsideAutoPodcast.com, you can find us on all your favorite streaming channels, Spotify, Deezer, Apple, etc. Thanks again, Joe.
Thank you. And you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm probably the only Joe Brown, right?
Yeah, the only one. And if you get confused, maybe you can find him under Jack Brown. I don't know. I made up that name. Yeah. That's going to be your new nickname now. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. I don't know. Here we are.
Joe Brown. Well, Joe Brown, Frank Leta, and you'll find him.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for listening to Inside Auto Podcast. Check out our other episodes with top entrepreneurs and industry leaders.